Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a truly beautiful and fascinating topic. We're unpacking the profound, deeply compassionate role of a father in raising daughters, specifically through an Islamic lens. We're going to explore the exact teachings, the historical context, and the incredible, enduring wisdom found in prophetic traditions. Whether you're a parent right now, or just someone who's interested in the mechanics of family and character building, this really is a masterclass in compassion. So, let me ask you something right off the bat. What is the absolute greatest inheritance a father can leave behind? Now, in our modern, fast-paced world, the immediate answer is almost always money, right? We think about property, bank accounts, a solid trust fund. But the sources we're looking at today completely challenge that assumption. They shift the entire paradigm of what a father's role actually is, moving him from being just a financial provider to an active cultivator of the soul. To really wrap our heads around this, we need to establish our baseline vocabulary. And the core concept here is tarbiyah. Basically, this is the holistic Islamic education of a child. But notice the crucial second half of that definition. It's the internal cultivation of a child's pure, innate disposition. In the tradition, this is known as fitra. The sources emphasize that kids aren't born as these blank slates just waiting to be indoctrinated. They're actually born pure. A father's job is to protect that purity and create an environment where it can really flourish. You're not just feeding their bodies, you're actively nurturing their souls. Section 1. The Sacred Family Trust. There's this incredibly powerful metaphor from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He said, "A man is a shepherd over the members of his household and will be asked about them." Think about what a shepherd does. A shepherd doesn't just own the flock. A shepherd protects, guides, and deeply cares for the flock's well-being out in the wilderness. This establishes that a father is a leader who is ultimately and spiritually accountable to God for the emotional and physical well-being of his family. It's a role of immense responsibility and, frankly, of service. Moving right along to Section 2, a father's true inheritance.
The tradition tells us that the absolute best thing a father can provide to his child is good manners and ethical training. The sources refer to this as adab. Adab is basically all-encompassing excellence. It's noble attributes, excellent morality, being courteous, honest, respectful, the whole shebang. According to the Islamic tradition, instilling adab is the ultimate gift. Because, let's be real, wealth can be lost, right? It gets spent. But ethical training, that literally shapes who the child becomes. It is the greatest service a parent can ever provide.
Section 3. Raising Daughters for Paradise. Just take a second and think about the sheer weight of this theological promise. If anyone cares for 3 daughters, disciplines them, marries them, and does good by them, he will enter paradise. I mean, the ultimate spiritual reward, paradise itself, is directly and explicitly tied to how a father loves, raises, and honors his daughters. No small thing, right? But how does the father actually achieve this on a daily basis? Well, it comes down to fulfilling their rights. This massive theological promise is grounded in everyday living room realities. It requires equitable treatment and deep respect, because children have a fundamental right to be respected, regardless of how young they are. It means providing not just physical food, but real emotional sustenance. It requires an education grounded in tawhid or faith and that adab we just talked about. And crucially, it demands unconditional love, mercy, and gentleness, right alongside physical protection and financial security. Now, to really grasp how revolutionary this was, we have to look back at the historical context. The sources draw a very stark contrast here. Pre-Islamic cultural bias heavily favored sons. And tragically, this often led to the suppression, neglect, or even the burial of newborn daughters. The Islamic mandate came in and completely shattered this practice. It strictly prohibited that horrific injustice and replaced it with a mandate to actively celebrate and equitably treat daughters. It literally flipped the societal script upside down. Section 4. The Prophetic Method. Compassion. The prophet led with incredible tenderness. The sources explicitly point out that he would kiss and hug his grandchildren and other children in the community. Now, sure, that might sound totally normal to us today, but in that specific historical society, showing physical affection to kids was actually super rare. Some men even bragged about never having kissed their own children. The prophet actively modeled that a strong man, a true shepherd, is openly loving and affectionate. And the core philosophy driving his actions is simple but so profound. He said, "He who does not show mercy to others will not be shown mercy." Extending parental mercy, especially to those who are smaller and weaker than you, is inextricably tied to receiving God's mercy yourself.
It's a beautifully profound spiritual equation.
Take this famous story of the prophet leading prayer. During his prostration, his young grandchild actually climbed right onto his back. Now, instead of shooing the kid away or getting frustrated, he playfully prolonged his prostration. He just waited. He waited until the child had had enough fun and climbed down on his own before continuing the prayer. It just perfectly showcases this extreme patience and how he prioritized the emotional safety of the child over strict, rigid formality. Of course, parenting isn't just playtime. You've got to have discipline too. But the prophetic method of discipline, which scholars like Imam al-Ghazali outline in our sources, is incredibly emotionally intelligent. It comes down to three things. First, emotionally validate. The prophet never mocked a child's feelings. Second, correct privately. If a child makes a mistake, you guide them gently away from the eyes of others so you preserve their dignity. And third, use positive reinforcement. Praise good behavior publicly to build up their confidence. In Islam, discipline is all about guiding with kindness, not punishing with anger.
Okay, Section 5, Empowering with Good Adab. The absolutely crucial point to remember here is justice. There's a really well-known hadith involving a man named Nu'man bin Bashir. So a father wanted to give a special gift to only one of his sons, and he actually asked the prophet to bear witness to it. The prophet immediately asked him, "Have you given the like of it to every one of your sons?" When the father admitted he hadn't, the prophet told him to be afraid of Allah and be just to your children. The father literally had to take the gift back. Because injustice between children, it completely destroys trust. Equality is a strict mandate.
But hey, this mandate for justice isn't just about material stuff like gifts. It's about emotional affection too. The sources share this incredibly powerful anecdote from Ibn al-Qayyim. A man was sitting with the prophet. When the man's son came up to him, he kissed the boy and pulled him up onto his lap. But when his daughter walked up, he simply had her sit beside him. The prophet immediately intervened. He corrected him right then and there, saying, "Why can't you be just between them?" He actively called out a father's unequal affection, making sure that the daughter's emotional worth was fully recognized and honored in that moment.
So what does this look like today? By applying these same principles, fathers actively empower their daughters. Grounding their education in Tawheed, the oneness of God, gives them this unshakable spiritual foundation. Modeling mutual respect through shura, or consultation, teaches them that their voice inherently matters when decisions are being made. Nurturing their haya, their modesty, isn't about suppressing them at all. In fact, scholars note it's actually a sign of their blossoming intelligence and self-respect. When a father treats his daughter with this level of dignity, he instills ironclad boundaries. And finally, wrapping their entire upbringing in constant dua or supplication gives them continuous, unbreakable spiritual support.
We've definitely covered a ton of ground today looking at the profound duty of an Islamic father. So I want to leave you with this final lingering thought. When your daughter looks back on her upbringing years from now, will her inheritance be fleeting wealth or the enduring legacy of prophetic compassion? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this gives you a powerful new perspective to reflect on today.
All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're exploring the super vibrant world of educational materials designed specifically to nurture young, growing minds. Honestly, if you've ever found yourself wondering how to seamlessly, and more importantly, joyfully, introduce faith into the everyday lives of kids, you are absolutely